All right. Hello, Taurus. Welcome, everybody. Excuse me as I get my voice here. So good to see you. Welcome to your monthly forecast. We're going to be taking a look not only at the month of January, but also a sneak peek into 2023. I can't believe we're already looking at the new year, but indeed we are. So my format will be a little bit different today. We're going to start off, as usual, with channeled messages. We'll look at the Celtic Cross. We'll go into the different areas of your life: health, wealth, love, and destiny. Most of it will be the same, but at the end, I'm going to truncate the meditation just a little bit so that we can focus on the basically 4 quarters of the next year. So I'll group it into, basically three-month periods, and we'll just take a quick look, one card for each 3-month period, to see what's in store. I'll be doing a special New Year's Eve video where I'm going to do a much deeper dive where basically we'll take a look at every single month. But this will be a nice way for each sign to get a little bit of a taste of what's coming through in the new year. So I'll put that at the end and I'll rearrange some of the final elements a bit. We'll talk more about that as we get closer. First things first, if you're brand new here and you enjoy what you see, please remember to show some love and hit subscribe and like. It's free and it will make you the subscription piece and the bell icon especially. It'll allow you to stay in touch with me whenever I do a live video or any sort of surprise video, because I'm going to be doing one on the retrograde here in the next day or so. So just a nice way to stay in touch. You can also follow me across social media. It's always my full name, Nicholas Ashbaugh, on all major platforms, with one or two exceptions, mainly Twitter, it's where it's in Ashbaugh. But you can get all of that here and also on my website, and I've already pinned the link here in live chat. Remember that I do not offer private readings and I do not use direct messages. You can always send me a message and let me know if somebody's an imposter or something like that, but I don't message my followers. So that's a good way to basically sort out who's really me and who's not. And finally, if you'd like to show some love and support here through SuperStickers, Super Chat, or membership, you can do that. I've started adding some members-specific videos, so once or twice a month, I'm going to go live with just the members, and we'll look at topics that they want to look at. So that's something new that I'm adding to the mix here as a thank you to all the members. So if you are a member, check out the members tab and you'll find the one that I did on the last day of the month, basically leading us into this month. So, okay, let's get into your channeled messages for today. So as I was tuning in today, I basically saw in my mind's eye this sort of flexible energy of seaweed, and it's helping kind of like convey a few things this month, namely that movement is going to be a part of this, flexibility is going to be a part of this, but also we're going to take a look at foundations, because seaweed don't have like normal roots. They're more like, I think it's called a hold fast, and a lot of marine organisms have that. So it's strong, but it's not foolproof, so we definitely want to take a look at foundations. So let me take a drink and we'll get into your totem for today. Okay. So let's get this pulled up here. How's everyone doing, by the way? Hopefully you got, your month is off to a good start. You got through Thanksgiving if you're in the United States, and you're ready to make the most of this, because for me, I've always found December to be a very busy month. Even if you're focusing more on like the family gatherings, there's so much to do. There's so many people to see that it just sort of like in the blink of an eye, it seems to fly by, right? Okay, here we go. Seaweed, let's talk about it. I'm actually going to highlight a card that came through in today's one card pull, because it actually works in nice sort of like connection to what we're talking about today. So this morning I pulled the Hanged Man, and what I liked about this was the grace that we sort of see in this card, because there's a dancer upside down. And I mentioned in the one card pull today that the Hanged Man comes through to remind us to slow down, move with grace, move with precision, but also with this sort of, I would say, intention. We don't always move with intention. Sometimes we're just moving and going through the motions. So one of the reasons that we stumble upon the Hanged Man in tarot is because if you are present enough and slow enough to just sort of drink in what's happening in this moment, you can be much more effective. So it's really important to be mindful of that. I always like to break down the totem a little bit and get into the geeky bits here. So FYI, seaweed is a type of algae, actually. It's not just a plant, it's algae. It uses photosynthesis, of course, for survival. Interestingly enough, the fronds of seaweed can change their shape and their orientation to allow them to basically move with the flow. And sorry, there was a date that got in there accidentally, but to move with the flow of the water. And I thought that was very interesting. A lot of times we kind of stay stuck on a path long after we need to be there, or sometimes we see that there's a necessary change that should happen and we just don't make it happen. So the key thing with this is you can course correct in any moment. And sometimes with, like, the reason I highlighted the Hanged Man here is you may be given a roadblock. You may be given someone just saying, no, you can't do this. And part of the reason is because there might be something better right here, and you have to be flexible. If you keep pushing in a direction where it's not moving, you're not necessarily going to make any progress, and it may actually be something where it kind of takes the wind out of your sails. Another fun fact, most of the oxygen on the planet is actually produced in the oceans. I mean, predominantly the Earth is covered in water, so that's not a big surprise there. It does vary from year to year based on, environmental things, including how much algae there is. And but it's anywhere between half to 3/4 of the oxygen on the planet, which is amazing. And it's anything from the small, tiny microbial things to the large kelp forests that are in the ocean. The message from Spirit today: breathe, because that's basically what this particular organism allows us to do. It creates oxygen. Move with precision and intention, just like the fronds can, where they can start to grow and change and move to allow for that sort of water to move through them. And then soak in the moment, because this basically is an absorbing totem where it's absorbing the sunlight, but it also absorbs things through the water. So if you are just kind of present, flexible, and intentional in your actions and movement, you can do a lot, even if you're not moving visibly a lot. There's a lot of things that can go on beneath the surface, and that's really what this is all about. Check your foundations. This has more to do with contracts and agreements than anything. When I looked at what a holdfast sort of appeared to be, it was just a kind of like a little bit of an anchor with a bunch of roots on it. Not a lot going on. So that's why a lot of times we do see, seaweed on the shore. It can get ripped up through a current. It's not super strong. The foundations aren't super strong. There's an ability for them to grow quickly, but make sure that when you are entering into some sort of a new project or a new agreement, that you sort out the specifics with someone. So get that contract in place, get it in writing. That's why I put justice there, and that's what the last bullet is about. And don't simply trust something on a handshake or verbal agreement. And it could simply be because someone forgets what they agreed to say. It could also be Seven of Swords energy, where conveniently, if it's not written down, they're not held accountable to it. Either way you slice it, you want to make sure that you are covered. So document, make things legal, and make sure that you also have your own sort of safety net in place when it comes to finances, and just like a plan B on things, so that you're not basically taken by surprise if things move or shift or change. Because of the absorbing qualities of this totem, you may find yourself in a more sensitive sort of energy. So people around you, if they are very positive, that could actually lift you up. If they're very negative, or if there's a lot of heavy things going on around you, a lot of stress, a lot of tension, maybe even low morale, this also is going to find a way to kind of get under your skin. So, and it should say the absorption. So the absorption, big difference. The absorption basically is something that you want to be very, very mindful of, and make sure that you are not sort of I would say, accepting too much. We always have to have that understanding of where I would say that it's tough here. Sometimes we try to make everybody happy in our lives, but you have to know where you begin and someone else ends here. So the Two of Pentacles is basically making smart decisions, towing the line and saying, this is what I can do, this is what I can accept, and basically just having those healthy boundaries in your life. Step away from the drama if you can. Have good work-life balance. By doing this, you're going to be so much happier, so much more present, and you're going to be able to make the most of each and every day. Okay? And finally here, keep your head up. So one of the other fun facts here that I learned is that seaweed have what we would refer to as air bladders, these little sort of pockets that allow them to float. And for me, this kind of connects to the Five of Cups. Five of Cups, of course, is an opportunity for us to not look just at what didn't go right, but what is in front of us and what can actually still be affected by our energy, by our attention. So allow yourself to embrace the possibilities, okay? And by doing that, I think that a lot of great things can happen, okay? Don't get stuck in the past. And those are the main messages here. So just quickly to review, breathe, move, and be present. Really make sure that you're doing so with precision. Check the foundations. Don't just accept things on the surface. Make sure that there is a legal I would say, component to things to make sure that you're covered just in case someone forgets or tries to get away with doing something that wasn't agreed to initially. And make sure that you have the necessary work-life balance in place. That's going to also help you keep your head up and stay really connected to what's going on in this moment in time. So there you go. Okay, let's take a look now at your month ahead. All right, so we're now going to go into the Celtic Cross. If you just joined, perfect timing here. We're going to be looking at the Celtic Cross and the expanded forecast. Let me give you a chance to vote on the cards today since we're doing a live. And I don't always have a chance to do that, but today we'll do it just because it feels good. I'm going to give you a couple of options here to choose from, and then we'll get started. And I'll show a few cards from each as we do this. Let's see, we'll do some different ones. Okay, I feel like these four are good. So I'll give you a chance to look at all of these and we'll talk a little bit about what's coming through. All right, so we have Modern Witch. We have the Glastonbury. Make sure I can spell that one correct. Yeah, Glastonbury. We have the Afro-Goddess. And the Fountain. All right. Yeah, hold off. I'm going to give you a poll for those that are just typing it. That's not how it works, Fountain Tarot. Here you go. So I'm sending a poll to you so you can take a look at them. In case you haven't seen it, basically the Modern Witch deck, I'll pull them up here. The Modern Witch looks like this. It's basically your traditional Rider-Waite-Smith with a few kind of like fresh perspectives on it. I like it a lot. This is the second option, Glastonbury. It has kind of like an Arthurian legend energy to it. Lots of green cards. Beautiful. Out of print one, just one that I happened to find online. I think most of you are pretty familiar with the Afro-Goddess one, but I'll pull up a couple cards just in case you've never seen it. So love this one because all the cards are lush in sort of illustration style. Looks like everything's a painting. And the Fountain Tarot is the most unique of all of these because it kind of has this airy quality to it, ethereal quality to it. So let me take a look at this for those of you that are not familiar with it. So this one basically is super abstract and yeah, geometrical even, I could say. And so lots of like airy lines and geometrical shapes and things like that. So let's see which one is winning and we're going to move forward. Okay, so Modern Witch is the winner. Okay, cool. All right, let's go ahead and get everything cleared up here and we'll get started. So again, you can use this for your Sun, Rising, Moon, and Venus. And actually towards the end, I will go a little bit deeper into Sun, Rising, and Moon energies. Actually, Fountain Tarot won at the very last moment. All right, so we will allow that to happen. Fountain Tarot, final votes are what made it win. All right. Those last few clicks mattered. We only had 22 votes. So in the future, if you're watching, make sure that you vote. It does make a difference. There's 100 people and only a few voted on this. All right, let's give this a shuffle and get started, folks. Good to see all of you. High Priestess right at the center. Two of Cups. Great energy so far. As I said before, sun, rising, and moon are all a part of this reading, and we actually have sun, rising, and moon messages later. Just got to volunteer for that. Okay, and we actually have a balance card here at the edge, which was very close to justice that we saw earlier. All right, let's begin with your catalyst. Your catalyst here says clearing the excess. You are creating a transitional phase that would benefit from clearing away excess clutter, whether it is in your physical body or physical space. So a lot of words, but the main thing here is to clean up what's going on around you. A lot of times this can actually be environmental. So are there things that you're holding on to? Old documents, old furniture. This could also constitute relationships that you've outgrown. You know what the excess is better than others. So I would just say take a look in your life and think to yourself, when was the last time that, particularly when we're looking at a belonging or something like that, when was the last time I used or needed this? What kind of memory is attached to it? Is it positive? If it's positive, really no harm done. But if there's something where it reminds you of a difficult period, maybe it's time to see if someone else can use it, or if there's a way to recycle it or to put it back out into the world, because it may have served its purpose and it's not really helping you anymore. Okay, so that's the main thing here. The other thing is, since we're going into a new year, we want to make sure that we're not carrying with us any sort of baggage. Embracing the energy of the Fool, which is a great symbol for January. So you should be just carrying what you need behind you, not all that other stuff. I like to reference, because it is the holiday season, it kind of is cool. Doesn't matter what religion you are. The Christmas Carol story, like Jacob Marley, that was carrying all of those chains. The whole reason his ghost came through to help Scrooge was so that he could be unshackled from his past. So this could also be old debts, old sort of regrets and things of that nature. Clear it out so that the new year is going to kind of take off and, fly. That's the whole purpose here, right? Okay, let's get into the center card. I really loved what I saw here. We have the High Priestess smack dab in the center. And this is a chance for you to really embrace your potential when it comes to creating something in real time. She is reversed, but let's look at her up close here. We kind of see her behind this sort of curtain or veil. And that's an interesting metaphor on the High Priestess. Sometimes we are, I guess, maybe surprised at our own capacity to do things, and it's sort of like we're from the outside looking in, and we're pulling the curtain back a little bit, or the veil back. So I think that there is going to be this understanding and realization that you're more capable, you're more powerful, you're more effective at creating this synchronicity that's right in front of you than you may give yourself credit for. So if something good is happening to you, don't question it. If you have an intuition that you should be moving forward or moving away from something, also don't question that. You're very much plugged in, and we don't need to have the doubt sort of taking away some of the potential of the High Priestess. This is also saying that you're able to see through anybody that is trying to either manipulate or surprise or trick you in any way. You're very aware of people's motives. So also use that to your advantage. If you sense that there's an issue or a problem, get ahead of that and say, hey, I'm sensing this, or I'd like to talk about this, and just get it out in the open, because you also have the capacity to be very, what's the best word here? Very effective at negotiation. So rather than, there may be someone in your life that tries to use position, power, or opportunity to their advantage, but what you're going to do is basically use your cognitive vision and your intuitive vision to steer things in the right direction, or to move in a different direction. So your intuition will come through to protect and to guide you and to help you make the most of the moment. But by and large, whether the High Priestess is upright or reversed, she's basically saying, you're in charge, you're very much plugged in, and so do something amazing with that. Two of Cups on top of this. So relationships, whether we're looking at business, friend, or partnership relationships as well, this is very advantageous. If you're trying to call in a partner, let's say you're single and looking for love, this is good. This shows me that you're ready and that the call will be answered. We'll take a little bit of a look here because I did see the Devil card in hopes and fears, but it's not showing up in a sort of definitive space, so that's good. I would say the important thing whenever we are calling out for something is to do the internal work first, so that we're not calling in a teacher or a lesson, we're calling in a true partner. So as we go through the cards, we can look a little deeper at that. But suffice it to say, your ability to reach out and to put that call out there is definitely strong. There may already be some of you that are into a new relationship, a new partnership, or are dating someone right now. So I like that. The other thing with the Two of Cups is it's just what I term as a magnetic card. So whether Lovers or Two of Cups comes in the center, it just means that your ability to have a sort of very good relationship with somebody or a very effective conversation with someone, it's heightened right now. So that's a good thing. Even if you're not interested in a, quote unquote relationship, you can still do something very good with just face-to-face conversation. It seems like you've done your homework, if I had to sum up what the Two of Wands and the Deep Past is about. It's interesting that these two cards I like to pair with each other, so I love that they're here. I always say that the Two of Wands empowers the High Priestess. In the channeled messages, we were talking about moving with direction, with precision, with intention. This is the intention. And this is now someone who can, because they know what they want, they can see how to get what they want, which is good. But both of your power cards here at the center are reversed. So this is doubting the signs and symbols. This can be doubting that something's possible. When we doubt or when we question, we make it harder. It may be good to talk to a friend. That's why you have the partner card crossing this. And then we also have two upright cards here, Ace of Pentacles and the Seven of Wands. So it does look like things are going to work. Maybe you just need someone there to kind of be the reality check for you, or your accountability partner for sure. So I like that. With the Two of Wands, slow down long enough to make sure that you have made some plans, that you are meditating, that you are tuning in. This one's kind of cool because it reminds me of chopsticks whenever I look at it. So it's kind of like, let me just try this. Let me just see where this will go. I believe that it's possible until proven otherwise, right? The traditional one, you will see a person holding the globe and then also kind of looking out at the distance. The reminder there is to kind of constantly check in with yourself and see, how am I tracking? And I think I was guilty of this as a kid. You have some goals and dreams, but you don't have like that big vision. And so you just kind of go from project to project, job to job, relationship to relationship, and you hope that you stumble across something. This is saying when you see, when you're very, very clear on it, then you can always say, well, here's this, and this is what I plan. How does it check? And so here's your traditional card here. It shows you a little bit more in depth what I'm talking about. So he's constantly checking the real world with the sort of projected world, making sure that he's not missing something, making sure that he's soaking everything in, very much like the channeled message in the totem today. Okay? I also noticed the roses here in the corner. So for anything to be sort of like created or to arrive in our life, there's always roses and thorns with it. So when you reach one of those sort of thorny or difficult moments, remember there's still that beautiful growth, that blossom that's on the horizon for you. So don't let one or two little things take you off track. It looks like some of you may already have an opportunity that landed in your lap. The Ace of Pentacles is potential, promise. It can be something new. But the question is it good enough for you? If we look at the shadow in the background, we see the hands saying, I'm ready for that. So are you ready and believing of your capacity to receive and do something? Is it good enough for you? With any of the aces, you always get to check in. Does it feel right for you? With the Ace of Pentacles, the question is, does it sit well with you? Does it respect the sort of contribution you're giving, especially if it's a job or any sort of contract? Is it enough? And so that's the question that Spirit's kind of positioning out there for you is this enough? Also, are you willing to step up to this opportunity as well? But I see something great on the horizon for you. We're reading this in advance. This is in recent past. So ostensibly, for those of you that are watching right now, this would be happening in the next couple of weeks. We see an opportunity opening up and getting you positioned for January. So December is a very powerful month. You don't want to just kind of like fall asleep at the wheel. There are some great opportunities coming in. Also, the seed that you plant now is what's going to pay off in January as well, because this can represent an egg, a seed, an idea, the inception of something new. So be very, very diligent over the course of the next month. You can do a lot before January even happens. This is also showing increased focus on resources, money in your life right now. I'm happy that it showed up. It's telling me that it's available, and you can kind of pull that through the rest of this month. Okay, crowning card. We have the King of Swords. Speak your mind. This King of Swords is kind of interesting because you see him sort of coming out of these bands of light. It's almost like he's emerging. There's a lot of kind of unveiling or revealing energy as I look at all of these cards here. His sword is reversed, and even though the card is upright, it is showing me that there's something that needs to be said directly. And for some of you, you may be more used to kind of like showing how you feel or keeping sort of a tight lip. But in this moment in time, it is essential for you just to sort of let things flow through you naturally, and things will be okay if you do that. Your ability to document, communicate, and use your voice for your sort of betterment this month is also coming through. So yeah, this isn't a time to sort of be in the background. Find a way to communicate that feels good to you. I also see all the different colors on this. So it's saying like making sure that you tailor your messages for the particular audience. So what's good for someone that's young is maybe not good for someone that's a student or someone that's retired. Different audiences have different attention spans and different contextual cues that they need. So make sure that you're paying attention to age, attention span, and mutual interest when you're trying to get your point across. And that's going to be key. I know that sounds like common sense, but sometimes people just say the same things. I'm sure you remember back to when you were a kid, when a teacher or a parent would just sort of like spout out about stuff that they didn't have a way to relate it to us as children. As adults, you kind of understand what they were talking about, but sometimes it goes over the audience's head. So make sure that it makes sense to the person that you're talking to, and that will help. And for some reason, that's what I'm seeing is like a kid that's just not listening because they don't understand your pressures and you're not understanding theirs. So anyway, once you clear up the communication, then we see a lot of movement going forward here. This Seven of Wands is kind of fun because you can see that he's not getting stressed out with all of the things coming at him. He's got one hand up and he's kind of dancing and moving through it. Like we talked about the flexibility of the kelp earlier. This is definitely connected to that as well. The Seven of Wands is a chance to thrive, but there's always an opportunity to delegate, to say no, to basically do less and do it better. You take one wand away and you have success. You add a wand by like basically bringing someone else in or letting go of something and delegating, and like the two of you working together. And then you have that sort of momentum that is the Eight of Wands. But if you keep holding all of this, you're kind of in a stalemate. So you either need to bring in more resources or you need to delegate something. And that's going to help you out in this moment in time because it feels like you're pulled a little bit thin resource-wise and energy-wise. And I really want you to have enough to do everything that you set out to do. We have the ultimate power card here coming through for you. I love this Emperor because it is about thinking outside of the box, also knowing how to navigate existing structures that already are in place. He's basically in the middle of an impossible box. If you notice, it doesn't really make a traditional box. It's one of those shapes that doesn't, depending on how you look at it. It's kind of three-dimensional, but when I looked at it for a second, this top line didn't sort of like match up. So they're kind of playing around with the way that this box looks here. So again, we were talking about structure, something that looks like it makes sense when you start to get into the thick of it or get into the details. You start to notice that there are things that don't match or don't make sense. Also, he's being sort of held back by an old way of thinking. So for those of you that are innovative, are trying to come up with something different, you may find that the place that you work, the way that you were instructed initially, you're going to have to deviate a little bit from that. It may mean kind of like moving to something new. It may mean that you're pushing the boundaries to see how far will they stretch, how far can I go on this. So there's a little bit of testing of those limits this month, but if and when you decide to sort of do something on your own, you can do it. Because I do feel like some of you are just boxed in, and that's what we see here with the Emperor. That can represent someone in charge that really just wants something one way. They're not interested in the innovation. And if that's important for you, then it's time to look to another person or another place to put that energy, because that can be restrictive. It can also be someone that wants to label everything and you don't neatly fit into those labels. And so this is another sort of instance where part of your journey this particular month is to break through and break out of those boxes. In the environment, we have 10 of Wands. The 10 of Wands is reversed. So we see a lot of progress and a lot of rapid movement. We're going from 7 of Wands to the 10 of Wands. Now, this is environment and this is in your future. So some of you may decide to step back from something. Definitely that vibe of delegation that I talked about is there, but you could also jump from this to this. So you have a chance. It's not necessarily a shortcut, but it's almost like an epiphany. Oh, all I really needed to do was this. So this person to me this represents you. This also can be someone that's taught you and is around you still. But if it's you, the answer is just to look at it from a different angle. If it's someone that's around you, you have to show them because they are so fixated in one way, shape, or form of something that they have to see it to believe it. They're very sort of based on evidence and based on what's in front of them. So show them the proof of the pudding, and then you're going to be able to quickly get something done. By the end of the month, you'll make more progress than you actually anticipated, and I like that. Okay, this can represent travel, unexpected travel. This can also be, again, holding on to something one sort of step longer than you need to. I really feel like you're finished with a task or finished with a job or finished with an old relationship. There's something that's on its way out. But what we see here right above it, someone asked if it was the Tower. It's actually the Devil. The Devil in reverse. So this is basically saying it's time to release things that no longer serve us. Limiting thoughts, limiting ideas. That's basically what the Devil card represents. Here we see two people whose energies are kind of like tethered together. When it's reversed, it's basically an unshackling. Very nice connection to what I was talking about with Jacob Marley in a Christmas Carol, where his whole purpose was to try to help Ebenezer Scrooge unshackle his own life. We create oftentimes our own sort of like chains and connections. And so that's how we're going to read the Devil card here, is to unshackle yourself from people, places, or contracts that don't serve you. And to also call to attention anything that someone's trying to say or do that isn't connected to your highest good as well. So you're going to right a wrong. You may have to fight for something. You may have to stand up for something. But the good news here is that you have a really good shot of getting that done, especially with the 10 of Wands. That is if we're looking at what's going on here, you have the capacity to push back. Both of these are pushy cards. So you can push back on any of this energy, okay, and overcome that. In general, when you're looking at your dreams, because this can be hopes and dreams, not just fears, this is also saying don't limit your potential and don't go to worst case scenarios in your head, okay? Because when we look at everything else, particularly your center card, this is power. The High Priestess is a good match for the Devil. She can see through it, especially the High Priestess reverse. She's like, I can see through the nonsense. I know how to move away from this, and I know how to resolve this. Even though you're showing up in my fear area, I have support, I have resources, I can push back, I can use my words, and I have the ability to think outside of the box. All of these things can help you through any perceived challenge that may be in front of you, okay? Not always easy to move through, but definitely you can do so with grace, which was what I was talking about with that Hanged Man card in the channeled messages. The other thing here, lots of revelation energy here. We have the 5 of Swords in reverse. And the 5 of Swords, we see someone rising above conflict, right? And rising above a situation that is a no-win situation. The upright card would basically be dealing with someone that you can't win with. The reversal of this is saying, well, actually, I don't have to fight with someone that is, you know that we've all been there in an argument at some point or a situation where basically no matter how much you're using your sort of your words and, you know, data and logic, the other person closes off to that. So if they are not open to common sense or to looking at things from a different perspective, you can spend your time and energy on other things, right? There are better ways to spend your time. So walk away, or just say, okay, I'll take that under consideration. You don't have to fight with them. That's what they're looking for. When it comes to you, I was talking to a fellow intuitive the other day about how I look at Five of Swords. The other thing that I like to compare it to is sort of like higher self, which we can consider the angel, and then lower self, which could be like the devil. What it is you trying to talk yourself into doing something you know you shouldn't, or to try to convince you that you can't do something that you know you can. It's basically there to hold you back. And so these two cards are working together. That's the devil, and that's the little guy sitting on your shoulder that's working with the devil, basically saying, you can't do this. Or go ahead, it won't matter. You can do this, even if you know you shouldn't. So don't listen to that voice that is just sort of like squawking in your ear. You're going to listen to your heart, your third eye, and you're going to trust that you know the difference between what's right and wrong and what you can and can't do. And as long as you do that, then the high priestess is empowered and she'll be able to see you through. Okay? All right. Let's now expand this forecast. Just a quick note on what we're going to expand it on. We're going to take a look at health, wealth, love, and destiny. As we go through the health cards, if there's anything going on in your physical or your mental health, obviously work with a professional. I'm looking at energy and how energy can affect you. So with that being said, the energy of health this month has to do with the core relationships in your life. Not a surprise since we had the Two of Cups smack dab in the center. And so let's read this card. The main word on it is friendship, and it says, I understand that a friend in my life is there for a reason. Or yes, exactly. A friend is in my life for a reason. It's kind of interesting how we see all of this energy coming out of it. It reminds me of one of those old, do you remember in the 90s, I think, and early 2000s, there were, if you went by like a mall, there was one of those balls that had energy going around the side of it. Anyway, it's sort of like that. You could put your hand on it and then the energy would kind of go up. Friendships are great because they're give and take, and they're kind of like those balls of energy. I think one of the things that you want to look at is making sure that there is a definite back and forth, that it's not just one person pulling all the energy or one person sort of pushing all the energy out. And so the balance, the dance is one thing that comes through with that. The other thing here, because I actually got that vision of that energetic ball, your friend can help you see your power. That's actually the biggest reflective gift that they can give you. They will remind you, you are more capable of navigating this than you actually may realize. I know that you're stressed, or I know that you're worried, but I've seen you get through worse, or I've seen you, be able to take that mantle and succeed. So don't second guess yourself. So in this moment in time, it feels like friendship helps you see your power. They don't have to do anything other than hold up a mirror for you, and vice versa. So if you have a friend that's in need this month, just remind them of their capacity when they go into that sort of shadow self, and let them know that they can sort this out. Okay? Let's look at the cards now. You may just be sort of missing either a connection with someone. So some of you may want to work on networking and developing friendships, or you may have found someone, and this is just an acknowledgement that this is a good thing for you. Okay? Okay. As we look at health messages, you know best what's going on in your body. So I went through I talked about this in previous videos, but I had to kind of like search through different doctors when it came to finding the right foot doctor, the right podiatrist, because some weren't listening. And so find a doctor that listens to you when you're talking about pain or discomfort in your body. Make sure that they understand how you feel, what your approach is. This can also represent more than just a Western point of view, mixing Eastern and Western, because it's very tuned in. So that's one thing. Trust your body. Let's see. The other thing here, this is typically a card of tension or working out. So some of you are trying to increase physical fitness. This can be a card that can lead to acute pain when it's in reverse. It's not as bad as the 10 of Swords. It can be like pulling a muscle, spraining an ankle. It's not a full injury per se. It's an injury, but it's not going to kind of like linger forever, but you can avoid that by slowing down. So don't go back so quickly and so fast into an exercise regimen if you haven't done it in a while. So let's say it's been 2 or 3 months and you just want to get back, or like me, you've been injured and you just want to start your old routine. It doesn't go that way. I've found that out. Some days I can walk more than others, but I still have some pain as the bone continues to heal. So, take your time, don't push, don't create an injury when it doesn't need to exist. Obviously with this, work with your doctor, of course, always. 7 of Wands, this could also be muscle aches or back aches. And again, it could be about like how much you're carrying. If you're carrying a briefcase, a purse, or doing any kind of labor at work, manual labor, make sure that you're lifting correctly and that you're not carrying too much weight. Very specific messages around that came through. This is a very interesting card. It's more of a trigger based on its location. So this is the Devil. It's coming through in hope, spheres, and opportunities. There could be a person in your life. This can be a pushy person, the 10 of Wands in reverse. So if there's someone in your life that's trying to push you into doing too much or into territory that you know is going to trigger you emotionally, or if there's an addiction that you have overcome, but it's triggered by this person, step away from that. It does come through as something that you can navigate beyond, but I do see a trigger here from something from the past, so be mindful of that. And then ultimately with the 5 of Swords here, exactly what I was talking about. You know best. Don't let a doctor talk you into doing something that doesn't feel right. Don't let a friend push you into an activity that you feel is too strenuous. This is the argument that you don't have to argue. Just say no, this isn't right, or hold the ground. When I had the issue with my one of the casts that I had back when I was wearing a cast, there was a doctor that put one on that was too tight. I complained the moment she was wrapping it, and she wouldn't take it off. I came back the next day and I said, you got to take this off. Instead, she kind of like put slits on the side. And I was like, this still isn't enough. I should have gone to ER that weekend and just had it taken off, but I waited and just found a new doctor on Monday. But that caused issues for me. Even just 2 or 3 days, there was some problems that caused. So in the long run, I won't let that happen again. If a doctor isn't listening, I'll say I need to talk to another associate here. This isn't right. So speak up. If you're going through pain or discomfort, don't let someone pressure you just because you're a nice person. Because the 5 of Swords hits in different ways. It can be someone else that won't listen. They're not listening. They're not taking accountability. They won't admit that they did something wrong. So sometimes, it's someone that just didn't complete a task as they should have. And they couldn't. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about here. And you also know when you've been put in situations like that where you're afraid to speak up. So don't be. Ultimately, though, I have to say most of the cards are pretty good. We have one fear-based card, but everything else is putting you in the right direction. Get rid of anything that you don't need in your life. That's also what this is about, lightening the load, the 10 of Wands in reverse. Okay? I like what I see. It feels like you're headed towards better health, a little bit of fear and anxiety, but that's manageable. It seems like you're pushing yourself a little bit, but that's also manageable. So overall, you're shaping up in a good place health-wise. Let's move on to your wealth card. So we have the Map Maker of Destiny, and it says authentic purpose, inspiration, and free will. I like to remind everybody on this channel that I'm here not to tell you what to do, but to open up sort of like a map and show you, oh, you could do this. This could be easier. This could be a little harder. You can take whatever path you want. This is absolutely connecting to that free will component. Just like the more you're used to driving, for instance, like I've lived in Los Angeles for a long time now, for like 22 years. So I know probably 10 ways to get to the same place. I can take a side street, I can take a highway, I can take some sort of windy path, and the GPS may tell me one route, but I'm like, that's not going to work, not at this time of day. So I'll turn it off and do it myself. So you can always use free will, just like someone who's well-traveled can understand that. People that also fly across the world, they know exactly what time to fly, which airlines to take, which trains to take, same sort of thing, because you've done it before, because you know the blocks. So really, when we're looking at work, because we're looking at wealth and work and life purpose, you've done this before in a past lifetime. You also have done enough in this lifetime to know if you should go down a certain path. And you can also make real-time adjustments like I just talked about. The purpose piece is so key, and it connects to what? The Two of Wands that was in the deep past. Purpose needs to fuel everything. I actually talked about this with Aries. Without purpose, you're kind of just ambling about. So for you, the more you can connect to that, that's a very common goal so far as I'm looking at all the January readings, the better things are going to be. Let's break this down. I'm going to look at those of you that are starting, well, we'll do it this way. In a job or a project, starting something, or if you're kind of disconnected, maybe retired or just having fun. All right, so if you're already employed, I got to go straight to this energy here. It's really important for you to protect your better interests. This is going to be for those of you that are creative or creating something new. So if there is intellectual property, innovation, research, and development, make sure that you understand before you share the idea who owns that intellectual property and how to protect it. So that's number one if you're already working. Let's take that out of the equation and look at some other things. You have a great ability to partner up with people this month. You have a great ability to negotiate. High Priestess in reverse, she's very, very convincing. She can charm a snake, basically. So if there is something that you have a tricky situation and you've never been able to get this signed or agreed to before, you can do it this month. Let's see what else is coming through. I see an idea coming to fruition. I see a contract or a communication of that sort of idea being put out into the world. Then I see a lot of work being done. One thing that is key is to be realistic. So this is being held to what you say you're going to do. This is what you say you're going to do. This is someone who's going to hold that, and that could come back and be difficult. So for those that are in the process of working or creating something, it's important for you to give yourself some padding. I think you can probably deliver what you're trying to do and even over-deliver, but don't over-promise. I'm not telling you to slack. I'm telling you to be realistic and to put in contingency and talk to someone else, because we had that partner card, and say, back when I was helping with production, there was some really seasoned producers that would say, oh, we need to do a bunch of things here. What if it rains? What if we can't get the permit? What if, some of the lights kind of go out? What if the camera breaks? We need to have extra gear. We need to have a second shoot day. We need to have this much money in case we have to hire a second crew. We need to have a couple of extra hours for setting up. And I was like, oh my goodness, there's all of this planning and contingency that you wouldn't think about. So cut back a little bit. The cards actually tell you exactly how much. So this is like 70%. This is 100%. I would say there's 30% contingency in here that you would want to add in. Just a little bit of time, energy, and money to make sure that it's realistic. So 30% is pretty cheap, but promise that 70% and then try to deliver the 100. And then no matter what, you're going above and beyond. Okay? Very specific message there. Let's take a look and see if there's anything else that we need to be mindful of. Other than this, there are always going to be people that you cannot please. And that comes with the territory of any job, whether you're working in a company, especially when you own your own. For those of you that are emperors and empresses, there's always going to be someone out there who is causing trouble. And that, again, is where the contingency and the protections come in. So make sure that you've put necessary protections in place for those kinds of situations. But I have to say, if we look at what really is coming through here, past, present, future, these are good. So we have an idea that comes to fruition, possibly through a partnership, and you get most of what you wanted. There's one little test here, but we've talked about how to navigate that. You still get most of what you want. That 30% is going to be kind of like stuck in this energy a little bit of Emperor, Devil, and Five of Swords, but you're going to be able to navigate as long as you're realistic. If you're looking for work right now, don't repeat history. So those of you that are job seeking, there's something on the horizon. You can do better than the first option. Keep looking. That's what I see. Option 1, not so great. Maybe even option 2, not so great. But you'll know because it's just going to sit with you. Don't compromise. Obviously, we all have moments where we just have to take what's available. But if you have a little bit of time and a little bit of resources to wait, make sure that it sits well with you, that you get your Ace of Pentacles that you worked hard to create. Okay? If you're retired or if you're just not working at the moment, the main thing for you is it looks like travel is calling you. So that's great. It looks like you might also be wanting to teach or write or record some of your experiences, which is also great. You might be considering selling. I think there's some stuff to do first because this can represent, letting go of like the house or something like that. But I have the devil connected to that. It looks like there's some repairs or improvements that need to be done if you're going to sell a house. Take your time. I would actually wait a couple months on that and get everything sorted out. Plus, we're going into a retrograde soon. So, be mindful of that. But otherwise, it looks like that's a great thing to start to set into motion. Maybe for January or February, like I would say the end of January, beginning of February, you can start that planning for travel. And I think that's everything. So mostly good. Last thing we want to look at again is this map maker. You need to have that sort of map or that blueprint in order to really be able to maximize the opportunities in front of you. Let's go to love and relationships. We have giving and receiving. And that was exactly what I was talking about with respect to the friendship card that came through earlier. So the main thing right now is to sort of look at the energy of how much you're getting, how much you're giving, and making sure that it feels compatible, that you're not sort of stuck in just one end of that versus the other person, again, kind of doing all the giving and receiving. This card was reversed when I pulled it up for all of us, so I just double checked to make sure. And so to me, that means that there's a chance to sort of say, I'm willing to give this much, I'm willing to do that much. But because of the way that this is kind of aligned, it doesn't matter. So I would say all you have to do is state what you're interested in or how much you can do. Until you do that, you're relying on other people's ability to kind of like intuit. Let's not do that. Let's say, no, I can do this much, or I need some help with this. The more communicative you are, the better. All right, let's break this down into some specific messages. We're going to look at those of you in love, looking for love, or single and happy. For those of you in love, we're going to look at it first from a perspective that things are good, but I'll see the sort of challenging cards as things you can move past. Then I'll look at it with a more critical eye. So assuming that you're in a really strong relationship, I think you're going to be fine this month, actually. It seems like both of you are putting a lot of energy in other places. Work seems to be taking the primary sort of place of focus for you. And one person's almost completely putting energy into work. One person's a little bit less stressed out. But I would say the main thing for you is to come together. What's missing from the spread, we have the Two of Cups here, so you're there. But the devil energy here can be, again, sort of trying to put all the energy in the wrong places. So I would say if there's something that's wrong, if you're stressed out, let the partner know what's going on. Open communication is the key to success, because we have the King of Swords here, and we have the Five of Swords here. So it's important to talk about even the things that you can't control in your life. So in a healthy relationship, this would represent friends, family, and coworkers that are kind of driving you crazy. Again, someone who you can't seem to get the point across to. And this is someone who's just taking on the lion's share of the work. So try to have a heart-to-heart with your partner if that's them, and just let them know that you're there to carry some of the load. If it's you, ask for some help. That's really all I see here, is that give and take. And again, holding up the mirror for each other. That's what, by the way, friends and lovers, that's what your lover is your friend. So that's what the two of you are going to do this month, is hold up the mirror and balance out the scales as best as you can. It looks like you're going to be fine. There could be something from the past that comes back. I also think that if there's something that you're afraid to talk about, you might as well do it, because the devil has a way of showing its face one way, shape, or form. So lead the conversation. Don't feel like you have to play catch up later. All right, let's say that I'm going to look at this with a more critical lens. And so you're in a relationship, but it's new, or there's been some challenges. The challenges that I see are not listening. Like one or both parties may not listen. You hear each other, but you're not actually listening. I see that one or both of you may not be telling the whole story. The devil can be about withholding the truth. There could be someone in your family that also enters in with that sort of devil energy, a third party. Doesn't have to just be an affair. It can be someone else that's kind of entering in and trying to get between you. And so you want to resolve those sorts of things. The good news, though, even in a challenging situation, is It looks like you have common interests. It looks like you truly do see each other. There is a lot of love. There's a lot going on here. But what I see is pushy energy here. So both of you can kind of pull back a little bit and just sit with whatever's going on for a second, rather than trying to force the other person to agree to what you have to say, to see it from your perspective. Just kind of like pulling back a little bit and letting some steam off the both of you. That's the main thing. I do think you can get past it, but there's communication stuff that needs to be dealt with. This is, if I've ever seen a case where a therapist or someone that can speak some reason could help, it would be this. This is the voice of reason that kind of helps you see where you can work on stuff. So if you're open to therapy, that's something that I see as well. For those of you that are single and looking, there could be a Capricorn coming into your life. I also see that you're fiercely independent right now, and it feels like there's not a lot of room. They're already there. It's either in your life, incoming, but they're getting like this blinking yellow light rather than a green, because there's so much energy that's going elsewhere. So slow down a little bit, look around, and make sure that you are picking up on the signs, because I feel like that person's there. The other thing that I see here is a very mature energy that's emanating from you. So you could be pulling in people that are slightly older or maybe the same age, but they're much more mature than the type of person you would normally date. So if that's someone that approaches you, don't be surprised, because it feels like you've done the work, or you're calling in that kind of energy because you need that leadership in your life right now, because the Emperor and the King of Swords are pretty strong energies. So is the Devil. So the Devil reversed, though, is about here's your karmic sort of opportunity in the next relationship. Be truthful, be transparent, be unconditional in the love. If you do that, this dissipates. It's really just in fear more than anything. So we're not going to pay too much mind to it. If you're single and happy, good time to be single and happy. The biggest thing that I see is self-development, empowerment, physical fitness. Feels like you're really getting yourself in a strong place right now. And your friendships are also blossoming. So people that you may not have expected to be such a prominent figure in your life, suddenly they feel like family. Or maybe you're more connected to them than you were like to someone that you were dating. So friendships are taking a really special role in your life right now, which is nice. Okay. And that's what I see for love. Let's move on to your destiny card. Very powerful message here. It says, thank you, angels, for bringing my life into balance. So balance showed its face a few times. I had the Two of Pentacles when I was looking at channeled messages. We literally have giving and receiving when I was looking at relationships. When I looked at friendship, it was about holding up the mirror. And overall, when we looked at the Seven of Wands and the Ten of Wands, it's about finding that balance between trying to make everybody happy, trying to do everything, and realizing that there's going to be some twists and turns in the road, and just preparing for that. And also kind of giving yourself a little bit of slack when things don't go perfectly, because that's life. And the more we sort of ease with that and vibe with that, the easier it's going to be, right? Okay, let's go ahead now and take a look at the big idea. The big idea is going to open us up to one thing that we can focus on for the maximum success this month. So let's shuffle the cards and take a look at what they have to say. We have the Nine of Swords, but it's reversed. This is the best Nine of Swords card probably in almost any deck, I think, because it shows the connection in it. I'm going to pull it upright first, and then we'll take a look at it up close. What I like about this Nine of Swords is that we see that the quote-unquote swords are actually oftentimes energetic cords or connections that we're holding from other people. We're processing their grief. We're processing their stress. They're sending us their issues and all of that jazz. So basically with the Nine of Swords, there comes an opportunity for you and a point in time where you think, I can't fix that. And this isn't, and it could be in your own life too. It could just be certain things that are out of our control. If someone's acting a fool, or doing things that are self-destructive, or even trying to do things that are hurting you, but you can only do so much at any given point. So do your best and disconnect is what the Nine of Swords says. And know that by letting them deal with their stuff on their own, you are actually encouraging them and empowering them to grow, and you're also conserving your energy so that you can grow as well. So in this card in the upright position, we can see a person that is ruled by fear or anxiety. The reversal of this is saying, enough of that. It's not really serving me. It's not really serving you. I'm going to let it go. This card also has to do with the quality and quantity of sleep. Very simple solutions if you're having certain types of sleep issues would be caffeine intake. How kind of good is your mattress? Is it matched to your back? Is it old? Do you need to replace it? Have you replaced your pillows? You should be replacing those a few times a year as well. And also energetically making sure that you clean all the dressings on the bed, not just the sheets, but also the mattress cover and the comforter. All that stuff needs to be cleaned out because it holds energy and changed. So at least once a year, get a new sort of set of sheets and comforter, because that's going to change your whole energy. Look at the colors of these things too. Things like purple, blue, and green are very comforting. Purple's protective. Blue can kind of help you feel open to speak, and green is really good for the heart. You can do stuff like white is great too. With black, it's a protective color, but it also absorbs a lot. So kind of look at what you're trying to heal in your life and look at your chakras, and you can kind of align it with one of those. Yellow and orange are a little bold for a bedspread, but it really kind of depends on the energy you're trying to foster in your life, okay? So suffice it to say, there's some things that you can do, and then obviously you can also work with your doctor to see if it's anything else like sleep apnea, or there's something else going on with your physiology or your neurology that's affecting that. Mostly this is stress, and that's what this is saying. Stress reduction and cutting of cords, okay? We're going to do a very truncated meditation today, but maybe one of the things that we can do is just to push light through those connections so that you're cleared, so that things are okay. Right, Apollo? All right, so let's take a look at blessings and blocks next. Blessings and blocks, just like they sound, things that can help lift you up, things that could possibly present a challenge. Your blessing is the Four of Pentacles. Your block is the Hanged Man, which has come through a few times today, both in the one card pull and also what I featured for you. All right, let's begin with your blessing card. So the Four of Pentacles or Four of Coins can be seen as a foundational card. We see here this little, teepee or hut that's protecting the coins. It's kind of like save this for a rainy day. There are times when that makes sense. I like the idea of being able to save, to conserve. We mentioned maybe 30, maybe 40% contingency for a rainy day. I like that. The Four of Pentacles, however, is also saying, I know I'm able to see that I might be holding on to something that doesn't serve me. So spend some time this month and just look at what is still in your life without a good reason. It's like that sweater in the closet that you don't wear, or maybe that old music album that you're never going to play again, or there's something in the kitchen and you know that it's probably going to expire before you eat it. We hold on to things long after the expiration date, and that's what this one is basically saying. There's something that served its purpose. Also remember to not limit your potential this month. Allow for the sky to be the limit. Allow for yourself to just express, explore, and see what the future may bring. Okay, so that's the Four of Pentacles for you. Don't limit yourself. Do, however, create that contingency, which we talked about. So we'll look at it more for like the savings aspect of it. A little bit of conservative energy, a little bit of savings, a little bit of contingency goes a long way and can actually help you in the long run. But don't hold on to everything. You have to let go of some things so that new energies can come into your life. The block is trying to rush through things. We have the Hanged Man in reverse. So I like here, instead of the halo, we actually have like the solar energy right around his head. But the main thing for you is to realize that all pauses are intentional or have some sort of a gift to them. So if you've been asked to slow down, look around. There could be something better. There could be some blessing. There could be something that you would have missed had you not taken the time to just be there. So soak it all in. Don't rush. This is going to resolve itself soon enough, and you'll be happy that you didn't rush from point A to point B. All right, let's go ahead now and do the viewers and readers choices. For this, I'm going to allow you to vote on some things. So let me go ahead and create a user poll right now, and we'll go from there. All right, so looking at the cards, I usually like to take the toughest. So I'm going to take the Devil energy and see what that's all about. But let's look at the other ones for you. I think that the Nine of Swords is a great one to look at. So how to manage stress And yeah, we'll just leave it at that. How to manage stress in your life. I think another thing that we can look at here is finding a better balance in relationships. Balance in relationships. Okay, I could put establishing balance in relationships. Okay. Okay, the next thing that I would kind of take a look at here is this Five of Swords energy. So having difficult conversations, best way I can put it. Basically tips on how to do that. Okay, so those are yours that you can vote on. I'm gonna take a look at how to navigate the devil in the hope spheres and opportunities. What is it really about? What do you need to pay attention to this month? Ace of Swords. It's about speaking up and speaking up before things go further. So we have the Ace of Swords reversed. So Ace of Swords can represent like a pen to paper. So if there's a contract in front of you and you don't like an aspect of it, redline that contract, circle it, send it back and say, I don't understand or I don't agree with this, or this is the suggested edit. It can also represent a bigger project or idea that requires revision. So you're going to say, rather than release this, rather than rush this, I need to do this, this, and this. I'm going to make the necessary changes or revisions. This is also speaking against something that's wrong. So let's say someone has done something that was contractually not agreed to. Devil can represent, devil reverse again, it could be a contract gone awry. It can also be someone who is saying or doing things that are either harmful or untrue. And it can also represent someone in your life that you just need to create a clean break from. And this is basically either saying it through words, through actions, through law, whatever you need to do here. This is basically taking action, speaking up, and making it happen. It's breaking the chain, but it's you using, words, actions, or the law to help you achieve the necessary end. Okay? So a very clear message for that. You can do it, but it's going to require that sort of investment from you. I think it's always worth fighting that energy. You got to fight the energy of the devil when it comes through so that you are clear and clean and can enter again into the new year without all of that sort of whatever it is that could possibly kind of get bigger. We basically want to diffuse it and allow it to kind of mute completely. All right, let's see what you've chosen for me. Okay, so we are now, we're going to look at establishing balance in relationships. Okay. I have some people complaining about audio, so I think there'd be more than one person if there was issues, but you can let me know. I'm not getting any indication that there's any audio issues. And no, we haven't done sun, rising, and moon yet. We're looking at viewer's choice. Okay, so focusing here on the question, which was establishing balance in relationships. 10 of Swords, very interesting card to come through. So the 10 of Swords represents a chance for healing to happen. And for many of you, you know exactly what you need to walk away from, okay? The 10 of Swords is a moment in time where it may just not be worth having that argument. You can basically hold on to something before you kind of communicate it here. So I really want to look at this one more time. Establishing balance in relationships. All right, so let's say there's someone in your life that doesn't listen. They're doing something self-destructive or they're doing something that hurts you. The 10 of Swords, also coupled with the 5 of Swords, could indicate that pressing the issue, it's kind of like poking the bear. It's just going to make that person grumpier or make the situation worse. So look at your history with them and look and see if it really makes sense, if it's really something that you want to do, or if there's something that you could put a better investment of time and energy into. This is about moving on usually, okay? But rising up and avoiding that kind of energy altogether. Let me pull one more because the 10 of Swords is a tricky card. So I want to look a little deeper and say, what's the source of the 10 of Swords for some people? Okay, so it really is about kind of like making sure that you're not going to energetic extremes. The 9 of Cups is over or underreacting to something. So in a relationship, that could be someone that decides to immediately jump to worst case scenario, or maybe someone that's having a lot of great energy in their life, but there's someone that's hurting around them and they're not really sensitive to that. So you're kind of very much in your energy and you're projecting that out when other people are markedly different. So this is the opportunity to avoid the 10 of Swords. It isn't to change yourself. It's just sort of like we talked about earlier, tuning into the audience and thinking, oh, I'm not going to talk about this right now because that person's going through that. Or there's something they need to tell me, so let me just hold some space. I can hold my thing until tomorrow. I'm really excited, but this person needs some space, so let's see what's going on with them. Okay, so if you're in a really good space and you have a little bit of energy to give and to hold, you can choose to do that if you want to. If you're going through a lot, the other person's having like the best day ever, you could just say, I have something important to talk to you about, but today's not the day. How about tomorrow? Be sensitive to them too. You don't want to sort of like be the person that pops their bubble. So I think it's about seeing each other and understanding that you'll kind of do it on a day where you're closer to center. If one of you is really high, one of you is really low, or both of you are kind of in the manic state, you want to kind of talk when it's a little bit more energetically even. And that'll save you a lot of time and energy. Now we're going to take a look, someone asked earlier, at sun, rising, and moon. And basically this is going to help out, okay? So many of you are asking to, like what part are we in? What are we looking at? So we're looking at sun, rising, and moon next. And let me know, again, if any of you are having any issues with audio. Obviously I can't hear it because I don't have it on at my end. So I'll put a little Q&A and see if you guys are having issues while I look at sun, rising, and moon. So audio, okay. Just give me a yes or no on this one. All right, so while you're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and take a look at sun, rising, and moon messages. For sun, we have the Two of Pentacles in reverse. For rising, we have Justice reverse. And for moon, we have the King of Cups. Okay, let's break this down. Starting with your sun sign messages. So this is for Taurus sun. The most important thing, and I alluded to this in channeled messages, was establishing the perfect balance in your life. It could be work-life balance. It could be balancing your checkbook. It could be making sure that you're getting enough sleep, since we saw the Nine of Swords coming through. Whatever you feel like you've been experiencing some sort of a deficit of, prioritize that, especially during this period of time, okay? The thing to focus on this one also is that rubber band of energy between the two extremes. I like to remind folks that with the Two of Swords and also with the Two of Pentacles here, you can always take one of those and create action from it. It's basically two competing aces. So the Two of Pentacles can be two, in the best possible scenario, it could be like you're dating people and you have two people that you're interested in and you have to make a choice so that you can focus on one. It could be two projects, but you only have resources to really put your time behind one. It could be two apartments that you're looking at, but you're going to sign one lease. So you basically make a decision so that you can see the most progress, make the most happen, and you alone can do that. It's also the ability just to say no when things are throwing you out of balance, because typically this person is, sometimes they're on a unicycle or they're on a tightrope or they're just trying to find their balance. So you have to clarify and focus in order to not lose your balance. And that's the main message here. And you can do that. You're understanding your limits here, mostly. Okay? So I'm happy to hear that. And it looks like there was only one person having an issue. So thank you so much for clarifying that with audio. All right, moving now from sun to rising. We have the Justice card in reverse for you. The Justice card in reverse is basically saying, in this moment in time, the power of the word no is not to be underestimated. You're also going to be focusing on righting a wrong. And if there's anything that you've done in your life that didn't sort of match expectations, you're also going to rectify that. So this can be making an apology, saying no, or making sure that if someone's done something that's not correct, we talked about that with devil energy, that you're basically putting a stop to that now. Devil and the Ace of Swords in reverse. It's basically saying, no, not only is this wrong, but this needs to stop. So firm boundaries, firm limits, very decisive energy. The Justice reverse card is one of the most clearest, for me, indicators of what you don't want. When you know what you don't want, you know what you do. So I think that rising and ascendant, for many of you in business, in work, and in activities around you, you're starting to see what serves you and what doesn't serve you. The devil does not serve you. The devil serves itself. So if there's something that looked like it was gold, all that glitters isn't gold, and you see past that. And then also, people are seeing you as someone not to mess around with because you have this clear sort of connection to your own sort of moral compass and what's right and wrong. Okay? So it's a pretty good card, actually. I mean, it's, again, these are two balance cards. So when I was looking at sun sign message, it was balance. When now as I'm looking at rising and ascendant, it's another balance. Justice literally is balance. The scales of balance behind in the background there. So this is your chance to reestablish balance, just in a different way than the sun sign. The sun sign just has to make a choice. You might actually have to say no, or don't do that, or we agreed to this. Or you might have to choose to go in a different direction because it's right for you. And even if it's not right for your family or not what they expected, you're like, I got to go in this direction. So it's following your inner compass. And it's going to be easier to figure out. You're not going to be juggling as much. You know exactly which one you want and which one you don't. But sometimes it's hard to just speak up, right? All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the moon sign. So for moon, it's the sensitivity that I picked up in the channeled messages. We have the King of Cups in reverse. The King of Cups is still a really good card. Incoming love, a lot of creative energy, a lot of passion this month for you. So all of those things are great. The card is reversed though, so sometimes you feel like you're beholden to that. You are controlled by your emotions, or you have so much energy that you want to channel in one day that it gets exhausting, or it's kind of like, how do I get it all out, right? If you have a creative sort of rush that comes through. There may be days where there's nothing, and there's a day where there's a lot. And then I talked about that sensitivity. You could go into a party over the holidays and just feel like you're really picking up on the energy of everyone that's present. And it's not just your imagination. You are very sensitive, and you are connecting to all of those things as well. Okay. By and large, though, these are good cards. Let's do a quick little mini review, and then we're going to move on to something special today, where I'm looking at basically the 4 quarters of the new year. So again, we saw a common thread between the sun and the rising, which was establishing balance and finding, or I would say finding balance and establishing boundaries. Those are the main things here. Again, for sun, it's not being afraid to choose one thing, and it's not being afraid to speak up for rising. For moon, you have a lot of creative and sensitive energy coming through. It's basically a question of how you want to use that. So there's more onus on you, because you're kind of connecting a little bit more with the Emperor card, which is, how am I going to take the mantle and do something? Okay. Now, let me put these to the side, and I don't have a graphic for this, but we're going to be doing the New Year's check-in here, where I'm pulling 4 cards for the 4 quarters of the new year. So let's go ahead and take a look at that now. And after this, we will do an abbreviated meditation and sound bath. All right, so quarter 1, January, February, and March. Quarter 2, April, May, and June. Quarter 3, July, August, and September. And then the last quarter, October, November, and December. All right, let's take a look at the cards and see what's coming through as Apollo gets comfy behind me. I actually really like the year ahead for you. I'll pull all the cards up first and let you see them. Hey, buddy. You're good. He likes to get exactly behind me. So he's still here. He's just right behind me. All right, so for the first quarter, we had the card of Temperance. For the second quarter, we have the card Page of Swords. Then we have the Fool showing some movement as the year progresses, and then some love and some creative energy as the year finishes off. Let's start with Q1, January, February, March. We're already reading some of this energy here, and patience is going to be tried here. So we have the Temperance, which is normally an angel, but we here we can see the connection to source, this sort of cord of energy coming from the crown chakra. And we see this opening or unfurling of energy in front of him. Sometimes we just want things overnight to happen. In this age of digital and social media, we're so used to just clicking post or clicking buy or, tapping our watch or our phone and getting something that we wanted overnight. And patience could be tried and tested a little bit over the first 3 months of the new year. Don't give up. More importantly, tune in. And if we look at the traditional temperance card, which I will pull here as we're talking, we see an angel with 1 foot in the water, 1 foot on land, representing that, the power in this moment in time is one step at a time, just like the Fool, but it's also in that connection, staying grounded as you move forward, staying connected to your emotions, that you don't have to go like full throttle. In fact, there may be an advantage to just slowing down a bit. And that's been a common theme here through the messages of January and taking you probably through those first 3 months altogether. Let me see if there's anything else that I want to talk about. Okay, here we go. Here's your temperance card. What's missing on this one, and I can see it in the reimagined version, but we can also see, yet again, the balancing of two energies. So if you're getting into a new relationship, the 2 cups that are in the temperance card, it's also about making sure that you know where you start and the other person ends. And it's sort of like, again, sorting things out. It takes a little bit of time to get used to a new relationship, like a new building, like a new pair of shoes, right? We see a path right beyond the temperance angel representing a good tomorrow. It's well worth the time and energy that you spend now to figure things out. I once had a really powerful meditation and dream when I was letting go of an old karmic relationship in my life. The angel that was kind of showing me what to do, it was between like 2 chalices, and it was like energetically giving back what I had received from one person and then receiving my energy back. So we kind of took the cups and reconnected with our energy and then said goodbye. It was a parting ceremony that the angels sort of like oversaw. And so this temperance illustration is pretty close to what happens sometimes. When you've finished out your sort of relationship with somebody, it's sort of like you can take back what you need, you can give back what you don't need, and it's a reclamation. And in existing relationships where we're not sort of like exiting out, there's a constant give and take. So you make sure that you give back a little bit, you make sure that that balance is constantly being seen. So that's what you want to focus on, is give and take, patience, 1 step at a time. That's going to take you through the energy of the first part of the year. There's also something that's opening up to you because we have a box here instead of just the traditional cups. So slow and steady, let it start to get its own momentum, okay? Quarter number 2, April, May, and June. We have the Page of Swords here. Now you are starting to speak up. Now you are starting to see action happen. Now it's starting to get exciting. There could be contracts being signed for those of you that are looking for a job, an apartment, a house, an opportunity. It's actually coming through pretty strong in the second quarter. You have a chance also to get noticed. So if you're trying to find an agent, trying to sell a house, trying to get someone to basically buy whatever it is that you're selling, they're interested as well. You're good at communicating. You're also very good at getting them to take that pen and sign on the dotted line. Pages are open and they listen. So your listening skills are going to help you, not just kind of like pick up on what's going on, but you also may be able to tap into something that's really what people want. The research is a key to development. That's why R&D go together. You have to figure out, is this working? What isn't working? What do people want? And your ability to ask questions and listen is going to pay off in a big way. So we see a slower beginning and a very quick second quarter kicking in so far. Looking at third quarter, so this will be July, August, September, we have the Fool in reverse. So a lot of movement, actually. Travel, perhaps if you haven't had a chance to travel, you're traveling more. We see also perhaps 2 steps forward and 1 step back. Still progress, but what I'm seeing with the Fool in reverse sometimes is it's swerving or it backtracks a little, but then it makes some progress. So look at the overall sort of batting average of where you've been rather than just one little incident that could cost a little bit of time or energy. You're still making progress is what I like. It's really important that you get stuff signed in that second quarter because the whole idea of the Fool is non-committal energy. So if you are trying to get someone to agree to something or sign to something, they're a lot less present with the Fool. It is a card of saying, well, maybe tomorrow, or I don't know about this. You're going to have to really make sure that the stars align and that you have the person at the right place at the right time. I'm not saying it's impossible, especially if they're tired of something and you can kind of frame it up as, this would open you up. This could be a new beginning for you. That kind of energy would work. But otherwise, they're less likely to want to sign. So this is for business and other sort of endeavors. You really want to be aware of that. The final quarter of the year is fantastic, though. We have an ace. Even an ace in reverse is still good. Ace of Cups. So as we look at October, November, and December, relationships, creativity, your ability to just sort of like really be open. It's all there. People are going to see you and be interested in your energy more too. The Ace of Cups in reverse can just be too much to handle. So you may have a lot of people wanting to hang out with you socially. You could have a love interest in your life that's wanting more energy than you're used to giving. Work could want a lot of your time and schedule. You may have a lot more sort of your own stuff that you finally figured out, like, this is what I want. How am I going to do this plus that? So it's basically your project management skills are going to have to come in Q4 in a major way to make sure that everything is okay. But you've got 4 fantastic cards. You have 2 major arcana cards, so it looks like a big year to me. There's balance, though, like major arcana, minor, major, minor. So one last time, and then we're going to go into the final part of today's reading. Q1, patience, connection to source, slow but steady steps in the right direction. Second quarter, leading you to the middle part of the year. Action, contracts, communication, a good time to get things done, a good time to get your voice out there, a good time for marketing. Q3, best used for travel, for having fun, for starting new things. Not a good time to sign things, not a good time to try to convince people of things. You may be also feeling like there's a little bit of zigzagging. We can even see it in the upright position here. So it's not a straight line from point A to point B. You're going to have to, kind of like an eel, go back and forth a little bit. A nice payoff in the fourth quarter, however, when new love, new relationships, new opportunities could be arising for you. The biggest challenge for you is figuring out what you want and how to prioritize what you want, given the fact that there is so many different things knocking on that energetic door for you. Okay, that is the sort of revised special reading that I kind of worked out yesterday when I was working with Aries. By the time I get to Gemini, I should have it perfect, and I'll have a graphic in place as well. So hopefully you guys liked it. If you didn't, if you want something more or less weighted, put it in the comments below. All right, we're going to now focus on the final portion where we do a truncated meditation. I keep saying medication. So for one of the things we want to look at here is maybe it's detoxing, because that keeps coming into my mind's eye and my throat. So we'll look at detoxification and cutting of cords, and we'll do a quick mental meditation on that, and then we will go into the sound bath and look at the final card for today. Before I do it, just a quick note: if you haven't already liked and subscribed, I'd love you to do that right now. You can also drop a follow on social media, and thank you in advance for anybody that's given back. And to all my new members, again, remember to look at that members only video that I did yesterday. I think you'll like it. Okay, let's go ahead and get into our guided meditation for today. If I were to go back to that 9 of Swords card, the one thing that it taught us is that we oftentimes carry with us these sort of like connections from the past, things that don't necessarily serve us anymore, but we hold on for some reason. So close your eyes for a moment and imagine that you are in the middle of a meadow. There is beautiful green energy all around you, as far as the eye can see. Golden drops of sunshine breaking through like this beautiful willow that's above you. So green all around you, this canopy of green above, and these golden rays of light shining down around you. They're actually creating a perfect spotlight in your energetic space. And you can just imagine yourself in a cross-legged pose, or if you would rather be laying down on the soft grass, you can imagine that as well. But the circle of light encompasses your body in either way, shape, or form. Imagine that the light is so strong and so connected to not just source energy, the sun, but your source, that any connections that you have between yourself and someone else that no longer serve you or serve them, they are cleared away. The golden light is put into all energetic cords or connections between you and others, and like a fiber optic cord, light is going to push through on both sides. If the cord is good and is beneficial, the cord remains, but it's going to be cleared out of all of the sort of residual energetic garbage. If the cord no longer serves you, but is only serving the other, this particular energetic blast is going to go through, and it's going to erase that cord, seal the connection on your side and the other, and heal both parties. You don't need to be their battery anymore. They can go straight to source. And so this is healing, revealing, and recharging. And that's what we're going to do as I play the singing bowl. And think if you have any questions as I'm playing the singing bowl, and I will answer that question at the very end. In the meantime, just relax. See light coming down from the sun into your space, clearing those connections, and that's all you have to do. In your last breath here, as you're focusing on the light above, imagine that you could even bring the light into your lungs and allow that to also do a gentle cleansing and healing of your body and your health as well. And then on the exhale, imagine maybe a puff of smoke or dust coming out as you let go of anything that was being carried energetically on the inside of your body as well. Take a couple of breaths at your own pace. On the next natural exhale, I'd love for you to open your eyes. And let's go back into the reading mode here and think of the final question that you have for me. This can be anything that you're dealing with, any questions that you might still have that I haven't had a chance to look at. Focus on this one question, and let's pull a single card and see what the answer is. Okay. Very much connected to the Q4 energy that we were talking about. We have the Knight of Cups here. The Knight of Cups is in reverse. The important thing to think about with the Knight of Cups is that when it comes to movement in your life, it is okay to take a pause, to take a break, to even decide I'm going to go back and fix or finish or deal with something first. So Knights upright represent forward movement and pretty much unstoppable forward movement. Knights reverse decide to clean things up a little bit, to deal with something first, and it is for me sort of like a little bit more custodial. It's saying in the matters of heart or the matters of creativity or anything where I feel very connected to something, I need to make sure that that's dealt with first and foremost, because until that happens, it's very difficult to move forward. So there's a little bit of heart healing energy that can be resolved in this moment in time. Now, if you ask me a yes, no, it would be a yes with that caveat. Yes, but make sure that you're doing something because you feel that you want to do something. Make sure that you are in that sort of balanced middle zone, neutral as possible. None of us are usually always neutral. Sometimes we're really happy, sometimes we're a little bit stressed out, but try to get as close as you can to center before making movement. And that's basically it. Yes, you can move forward on something. Yes, I see generally good energy and good mood with the Knight of Cups. The reversal of this means that a lot of you have been putting a lot out for others, a lot of time and energy and work. And so today, especially whenever you happen to hear this, whether it's in the middle of December or the middle of January, the importance is just like Apollo in the background. Take a moment, stretch, be present. We can learn so much from our animals and just figure out, how do I feel today? And then before you get back out on the road and moving forward, make sure that you've kind of checked in with the heart. That's how I could summarize that. Okay? I'd like to take a couple of moments. First of all, if you are watching this over the holidays, to wish you a happy holidays. If you're watching in the new year, happy new year. For everybody else that's present when it's live, I just want to say thank you. I'm going to take a moment here to welcome any of the newest members. If I can see the comments of anybody that celebrated a membership milestone, and then super stickers and super chat, and then we'll wrap up for today. While I'm doing that, a reminder that my schedule is always every Monday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday. I do daily card reads, and I'm also going to do a couple of special readings this month, including a one specifically for retrograde. I'll get that done by Saturday, and then another one on New Year's Eve, and maybe I'll do something else over the holidays. More to come on that. Okay, so let's take a moment here and say thank you to the newest members. Okay, so thank you so much to Christina for becoming a new channel member. Jenna as well, good to have you here. Let's see, Lori Fry as well. Sherry, is it Wilkie? Thank you so much. And I think that's everyone, because I remember some of these from yesterday. But well, I'll say thanks just in case. Kafi Io, Megan Regina, and let's see. Yep, everything else I said hello to yesterday. Okay, so now let's say thanks for the super stickers and the super chat, and then I'll recognize some of the milestones. So we have just a few, so this should be pretty quick today. Thank you so much to Liz Morrison for kicking things off today. Palace Athene, I appreciate you as well. Ms. Jocelyn C, thank you, and Mauricia as well, thank you. And let's say thank you to a couple of folks who had some milestones here. So Liz Morrison, thank you for 12 months. I appreciate that. And let's see if there was another milestone one. I think, yes, Mauricia, thank you for being here for 16 months. I appreciate that as well. And let me see. I think I said thanks to everyone. Lori Fry, welcome. If I forgot to say welcome to you as well. Okay, that is everything. And that is everyone that stepped forward today. Thank you so much for, again, everything that you've done. I can't believe, like, I actually started this in 2015. And so, yeah, this will be my 8th year that I'm starting, I guess, popping forward here. So the time has gone both quicker than I imagined, and then there's like, I can totally feel all of the energy that I put into it as well. But the cool thing is I never imagined that it would be what it is today with all of you. So such a pleasure to be here. Thank you for being a part of this journey with me. And here's to exciting things in the new year. All right. From Apollo and I, sending you the best greetings for today and in the holidays. And he's in sleepy time mode right now, but you saw him stretch a couple minutes ago. So take care, everybody, and I'll see you on the weekend for the weekly collective. Until then, be well, and thanks for your presence today. Bye-bye.